Hi, my name is Mentally, and that is not a pen name. So this is Recent Reads. I'm not good at reviewing things, but I am good at talking about things that I like. So I decided that this would be a good way to talk about books without reviewing them. So I have 3 books that I've finished in the last couple of days to talk about, and I just want to share my thoughts. I'm going to try and talk about them without spoilers. However, my personal thoughts on spoilers is that nothing can be spoiled. I'm sure I have an audio clip of my dad talking about the spoiler policy, so insert that here.
Spoiler policy, which is we don't care.
At all.
So, Wash dies, the Titanic sinks, Godzilla gets killed, and just for you today, Voldemort kills Harry Potter.
That's the basic gist of it. But I know that people do care about spoilers, especially on the internet. So I'm gonna talk about these in no spoilers and then in spoiler sections. So the first book I have to talk about is Deepsix by Jack McDevitt. This was a recommendation from my father. It's science fiction, adult. He recommended it to me because we both loved reading The Martian, and this is very similar. Basic story of this is that there is a planet, Maleva, and it can support life. When they first landed on it, the first mission that landed on it ended in disaster and death and was considered unsuccessful, and now 20 years in the future it's about to be absorbed by a gas giant and completely destroyed. So scientists are gathering in space to watch this planet get destroyed and study what happens and the gravitational effects and everything like that. And in scanning the planet, they find signs of civilization. They find buildings. So a team is sent down to see what they can find out about the inhabitants of this world before it gets destroyed, basically. This was a pretty good read. I liked The Martian better. Everything I liked about this book, save for one, and I'll get to that, The Martian did, but better. So I couldn't see myself rereading this book. But there's one thing that I thought that this book did better than The Martian, and very good reason, and that is the civilization that they were sent to uncover. It was very well done. Obviously The Martian didn't have that because it takes place on Mars, where it can't support life. This was a different planet altogether. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodread. My star ratings are based on my likelihood of rereading a book. So this was a 3 because I don't see myself really picking it up. It was really enjoyable. I enjoyed myself. It was a good book, but I don't see myself really wanting to reread this in the future. Spoiler section starts here. This book, so it goes in hours. So hours to break up estimated. And it goes from, this is chapter 12, where it's 252, and this is about where the action starts, because the main issue in this is very similar to The Martian in that they lose both of the landers. The planet's going crazy because it's about to be destroyed, gravitational fields are starting to affect it, and they have an earthquake. Both of the landers they have are lost in it. However, that happened very close to chapter 12. So I found the start of this book very, very slow. It was scientific. It was fascinating to kind of learn about the world and what the scientists are wanting to study about the world, but I felt like The Martian did it much better because we jumped straight into the action in The Martian. This also took place over a shorter time period than The Martian, so there's that going for it. But all in all, I thought that the suspense that The Martian gave, will he survive, won't he survive, the overall tension was much better in The Martian than in this one. At the end, when the rescue attempt is gonna be the thing, it was seemingly very impersonal to me, and they were building it and they were building it, and then they sent the skyhook down, and they flew up, and they caught it, and it was over in a couple of pages. I felt very little tension at the ending. Leading up to that was much more tension and much more suspense as to, hey, are they going to make it to the lander that the first crew left? Are they going to live? Are they going to die? Especially in the case that it was a team of people in this book, where the Martian, obviously, it was just Mark Watney. So there was a lot more suspense about, is everyone going to survive? Because that was not necessarily a given. The author has a way of introducing almost random characters as they're needed, as they're used. So like, he introduced the welder, he introduced one of the welding team leaders, he introduced a pilot, and he would just talk a little bit about who they were, and that really tended to bring me out of the story. This is written entirely in third person, and I think that that's also led to my enjoyment of The Martian more than this book. But all in all, great science fiction read. I really enjoyed it. And if you like The Martian and you're into space and into science fiction, this is a really good one to check out. The second book I want to talk to you about is Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This book is the second book in the Arc of the Scythe trilogy. It is following the same two people we followed in the first book, Rowan Damisch and Citra Terra Nova. One of them is a scythe, one of them is not. That is found out in the first book. This deals more with the scythedom in general. I probably would give this a 4 on Goodreads. I feel like I will reread it in the future, especially since I have it on audiobook. We also learn more about the Thunderhead in this book, which I don't believe is a spoiler. The Thunderhead is the AI system that controls the world that they live in. So things I really enjoyed about this book, I love the characterizations. I continue to root for Rowan and Citra. I continue to be hurt by decisions. I continue to just, I'm in it for them. I love these two characters, and I love that we're seeing them grow as people, and that I loved the new character that was introduced in this book, which was Grayson Tolliver. I didn't expect to like him, and then I did. So I'm very surprised at myself and how much I actually love that character. And the ending killed me. So I can definitely see myself rereading the series in the future, so that's why it's a 4-star. But in general, I don't know. My feelings on the side books are kind of hard to categorize. So let's say spoilers start here, because I don't know how I'm gonna talk about this book without spoiling it. Neal Shusterman's writing style really tends to grate on me in certain situations. I read Scythe to about halfway through, and I was so bored, and then I switched to the audiobook and it worked. This one I was on audiobook until about halfway through, and then I was interested and I started reading this like physical book. I find his writing very, very good when there's things happening, and utterly boring when there's nothing going on, if that makes any sense. When they're just going about life, I could do without those parts. But his descriptions of battle and his descriptions of action scenes and of scenes where there's so much going on, because his writing style is just, it hyper focuses almost on different sections. That works very well when we're thinking as the Thunderhead, and it works very well in action scenes. but I don't really need the hyper-focusing when it's boring. The ending killed me. Oh my gosh. I was reading the last chapters today. From the time that Scythe Goddard appears at the Scythe Conclave to the end, basically. I was wrapped up. Things were happening. I was good. I didn't really like how long we went without knowing anything from Rowan. I didn't really like how long we went without knowing anything from Grace and Tolliver. My feelings about this book are very mixed because I love that ending. I think it was a great ending. I love these characters. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them continue on. The Thunderhead kept bringing me out of it. The writing kept bringing me out of it. So if I was going to rate this based on a regular rating scale, I would probably give it 3 out of 5 stars. Maybe even 2.5, because I did not pore over this book. It did not grab my attention. Basically, until the very end there, I was kind of sloggy about going through it. Especially because I was listening to it on audiobook. And I'm like, I could listen to the audiobook now, or I could do something else. And I'd choose something else because I wasn't excited about this book. And that's not a good feeling for a book. So I have very mixed feelings about this book. I'm sure that other people know that. Anyway, 4 out of 5 stars. I will reread it again. The ending killed me. I love the characters. Let's continue on. The third book I want to talk about is the one that I'm most excited about, and that is The Seer and the Sword by Victoria Hanley. I just barely finished this one, and I'm lending it to my mother, and I had to go and grab it from her. This book is the greatest. I have never heard anyone talk about it besides myself. I have never seen anyone check it out besides myself. I have never seen anyone talk about this book. Ugh. I love this book. If I had to categorize this book, it would probably be middle grade. It kind of skates over difficult subjects, but at the same time, it goes into some detail about like violence and death. Anyway, whatever. No spoilers. This book is about Tarina Archelda. She is a princess in the kingdom of Archeld, and her father has conquered a land and brings home the conquered prince, Landon, to serve as a slave, and she frees him so he's trained among the palace staff. He also brings her a seer stone, which the previous seer gave to him to give to her specifically, and she becomes a seer, or she already has the talent for seerdom. Anyway, it goes from there. This book has everything. It has the prince, it has the princess, it has betrayal, it has love, it has loss, it has fake deaths, and secret messages, and 2 kings, and 1 really, really terrible dude, and a war, and friendship, and criminals. It's got everything. It's got literally everything. Everything you could ever want. This book has, and it does it masterfully. I love this book. I wish more people knew about this book. I wish more people talked about this book. This book to me is to books as The Princess Bride is to movies. Stopping there, let's go into spoilers. Oh my gosh, Tarina and Landon are like goals. The childhood friendship, the friends to lovers, the pain when he thinks she's dead, the joy she feels when she sees a poster that he's wanted for her father's murder. And she's like, oh, he's still alive. It warms my heart. It warms my soul. I'm so happy with this book. The High King is so great of a character, and I'm so grateful that he's included in this, because it could just be Landon and Tarina and Voltoro? Vespudo. His name is Vespudo. Like, with a name like that, ugh, ew. But this book is just glorious, and the action scenes are so intense. And it's got the Princess Bride, like, oh my gosh, I've been kidnapped. Oh my gosh, who is it? Thing. This book is the Princess Bride of my heart. Stopping spoilers. This is a 5 out of 5 stars. I have reread this countless times. Every single time I reread it, I want to go back and read it again. It is a fantastic book if you are in the mood for any sort of fantasy kind of esque adventure, Princess Bride-esque, especially in this trying time of quarantine. Please go find this book and read it. It is glorious. So that is all I have to talk about today. I hope I talked about some things that you can talk about. What I'm currently reading right now is The Toll by Neal Shusterman. I started it right after I finished Thunderhead. I am listening to the audiobook for Six of Crows, and I think I'm gonna start the rest of the story now that I just finished The Seer and the Sword. This is part of the Owls Readathon I have going on, so I think that's going to be my next book. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you're reading. Tell me what your comments are on any of these 3 books, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!